started, I would like to introduce Kimberly Morales.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. We're here today to talk about the annual call for public artists and support services. This will be an informational workshop where we go over our process and do a run through of the application. Next slide, please. So to introduce you to our department, we're with the city's Department of Arts and Culture. Our interim director is Crystal Jones. She's at the top row on your left. Our public art division manager is Veronica Ripple in the middle there. I'm Kimberly Mireles. I'm the public art manager. We also have two project managers here, Bianca Alvarez and Jordan Petrias, and our senior management analyst, Alyssa Franklin. Next slide. At this point, I'm going to pass it back over to Bianca. No, I'm sorry, to Jordan, who will give us get us going here.
Thank you, Kimberly. And I just want to remind everybody that the chat in this is open record. So please be sure to use your most appropriate language as it will be on record. And throughout tonight's presentation, you can send us your questions directly. Be sure to click everyone so that we can all see your question. And if we don't have time to get to your question during this meeting, we will be sure to follow up with you afterwards. So throughout tonight's presentation, we are going to look at the overview of our public art program. We're going to look at pre-qualification categories. We're going to look at artist development, application pointers. We're going to do a full application demo. We'll then take any questions and we will be sure to provide you contact information. So for those of you who are not familiar with what public art is, public art that's managed by the City of San Antonio looks at art that's in a public place that has been through a public engagement process to determine where the art will be, who the artist will be, what the themes and inspirations for the art is, and it's approved by our Arts Commission. It's managed by a public art project manager, such as myself and Bianca and Kimberly, and it's usually paid for with public funds. Some of the funds that we use come from the 1% allocated from transportation and capital improvements, and that is used to implement public art projects according to our process. And currently we are finishing up projects from our 2017 and 2022 bond program, and we're looking to get started on the next bond in 2022. I'm going to now hand it off to Bianca.
All right, thank you, Jordan. So here we're looking at the City of San Antonio's public art process. And so every public art project managed by our department goes through an extensive process that starts with community feedback and frequent check-ins with the community and with stakeholders throughout the duration. And it is important to be on our pre-qualified list in order to be considered for these projects. So as part of the artist selection process, which is the fifth block, or the first orange block that you see on the screen, as part of the process, a shortlist from the pre-qualified list is developed. A shortlist of artists is developed from the pre-qualified list and is presented to a panel to recommend an artist for a project. So that artist is then approved by our Public Art Committee and San Antonio Arts Commission before contracting and before the artist gets started on developing the design. So various approvals from our Public Art Committee and Arts Commission help us get from one step to the next. And the completion of each project is celebrated with a dedication ceremony. So this is why it's important to apply to be on this pre-qualified list so that we can then make our recommendations and present your qualifications for projects in the future. Next slide. And this is an overview of what qualifications we are seeking from artists and support services. So please note that this is not an all-inclusive list, but examples of various skills for these two categories of artists and support services. So public artists can include 2D, 3D artists, muralists, sculptors, designers, and support services encompasses a variety of opportunities and professions that help in the delivery or completion of the project. So that can include project managers or coordinators, art handlers, curators, writers, conservators, photographers, the list goes on, even, engineers and architects too. So we really want to encourage everyone to apply regardless of experience with public art. Artists, organizations, and businesses are welcome too. And if you have qualifications for both of these areas as a public artist or for a support service, you can apply for both. And so in a moment, we'll talk about how you can do that in one easy application later in our conversation. So please, we want to see your practice, we want to see your experience and what you can uniquely offer to projects. And if, for artists that may not have public art experience, make sure your application really showcases your talent. Next slide. So what does it mean to be pre-qualified? It means that you've successfully applied, for one, through the open call and have been pre-approved by the City of San Antonio to be considered for public art opportunities. Once you're on the list, you're eligible for 3 years for consideration of various projects, and after 3 years, you would have to reapply. So please note that being on this list does not guarantee a project with the city. Next slide. As far as the process goes, the first thing you have to do is apply. So make sure you hit submit and that you get a confirmation email that your application has been submitted. And we'll talk about the timeline in just a bit. But applications are then reviewed and scored by the Department of Arts and Culture. Then we present to the Public Art Committee for review, followed by the San Antonio Arts Commission. City Council must approve the recommendations for the pre-qualified list in order for it to be official. And once City Council makes those approvals, then we will deliver the results to the applicants through email. Slide. And so here are some examples, or a couple of examples of public art and support services. So we're looking at Nahohan, which was completed earlier this year and is located at Comanche Lookout Park. On the left side, the left image is one aspect of the public art project. There's a much larger installation at the site. Where an artist team, Carlos Cortez and Doroteo Garza, worked together on the design, fabrication, and installation of the artwork that you see in the photo and the other components that we cannot see. And as an example of support services for the project, the photo on the far right shows District 10 Councilman Perry, who participated in the production of the project's dedication video. So during COVID, we weren't really able to have in-person dedications due to social distancing and other restrictions. So this really gave us the opportunity to work with support service photographers and cinematographers to document the project's progress. And the result was a video that featured interviews with the artists, community members, and stakeholders to be shared widely in celebration of the project's completion and in lieu of an in-person dedication. And next slide, and I will kick it over to Kimberly, our public art manager.
Thanks, Bianca. So I'm going to go over some details of the application, and Jordan will run through the entire application process, but we just wanted to call out some things to your attention. The first being our a new requirement for this year which is for all local artists to apply or to create a registration, to create an artist profile on our San Antonio Artist Registry. So this is an online professional directory open to all San Antonio-based artists for free. The goal of this service is to showcase the incredibly talented artists of San Antonio and the work they create to organizations, individuals, businesses, meetings, and conventions, so that you can be found for commission projects, job opportunities, performance, educational opportunities, collaboration, and more. So this is a new initiative for our department, and as part of the open call application, we do require that all San Antonio artists create a profile in the registry and then include that link in your application. So first you have to create a profile on the registry and include your name, your contact info, your location, and what kind of artist you are. You can also upload work samples here, and it's great. The great part about this is that if you're on the pre-qualified list, as you move forward throughout the 3 years, you can upload recent work samples, update your resume, all pretty easily. So just a note that it can take up to 3 days for your profile to get approved. So don't procrastinate and create that profile today. Next slide. So the second kind of point I wanted to talk to you guys about was the experience level. So we have one for public art for artists and one for support services. So on the application, you're going to be asked to self-identify your experience level. On this slide, you can see a breakdown of the table featured on the artist application. These levels are to give us, the review panel, and the Arts Commission an idea of your history and experience of projects. If you have 0 to 2 years of studio experience or 1 to 5 relevant public art projects, or have worked with budgets of up to $10,000, we recommend you select emerging. If you have 3 to 10 years of studio experience or 5 to 10 public art projects, or have worked with budgets between $10,000 and $100,000, then we recommend you select mid-career. If you have 10 years or more of studio experience or 10 or more public art projects, or have worked with budgets over $100,000, we recommend you select established. If you're part of an artist team, we recommend you identify as the level of your most advanced member. Next slide. And please don't think that if you select emerging that you won't be eligible or less likely to get projects. We work with many emerging artists and have even worked with artists who have not done public art projects before, but we work with these artists not only to give the artists new experiences in public art, but we also try to act as mentors to the artist through the collaborative projects with experienced engineers or designers. So this is another plug for anyone thinking that they don't know, they don't see how their art can transfer to a 3-dimensional piece or don't think they have enough experience. Don't let that stop you from applying. We want you to bring your creativity and your unique artistic voice so we can work together as a team to make a great group project. And here you can see Doroteo Garza in front of a mural that he did. And then at the bottom, Ashley Morales and Kate Bradshaw in front of a piece. And again, they did, each did a work at the Harburger Park Land Bridge where we partnered them with a experienced engineer and design firm, and they got to learn a lot. Next slide. So going back to experience level, now we're going to support service experience level. So this is very similar to the artist. If you have 0 to 2 years of experience or 1 to 5 relevant public art projects or have worked with budgets of up to $10,000, we recommend you select emerging. If you have 3 to 10 years of experience or 5 to 10 public art projects or have worked with budgets between $10,000 and $100,000, then we recommend you select mid-career. If you have 10 years or more of experience or 10 or more public art projects or have worked within budgets over $100,000, we recommend you select established. And again, if you're part of a team or organization, we recommend you identify as the level of your most advanced members. And again, we love working with all kinds of fabricators, videographers, marketing professionals, lots of different folks with different experience levels. Next slide. So we also wanted to give you a heads up on our insurance. You do not need to have insurance to apply or be approved for the pre-qualified list. The reason that we wanted to show you these insurance requirements is should you be approved for a project as either an artist or support service, you may be required to get insurance at the levels you see on the screen for workers' compensation, employer's liability, general liability, auto liability, and professional liability. Again, you do not need to have insurance to apply or be approved for the pre-qualified list, but should you get selected for a project, you may be required to get this insurance. We do work closely with our risk management team to ensure that the insurance requirements fit the scope of the contract, as we do realize that each project is unique and may not require all of this insurance. But we'll walk you through that process should you get a project, so don't worry too much about it right now. Next slide. So to go through the timeline for the application, we have the application being due on November 16th by 5 p.m. Central Time. So make sure that you give yourself plenty of time for that. After the application, Bianca went through the kind of our process. So the next kind of stepping stone is in January, on January 11th of 2022. We will present our recommended list for the pre-qualified list to go to the San Antonio Arts Commission for review. After it gets approved by the San Antonio Arts Commission, it will go to City Council in February for approval. Once we get approval from City Council, whether you make it or not, the results will be emailed out to you. Next slide. And this is just another plug. On November 9th, we are going to host another workshop promoting our open call. It's going to be called Ask a Public Artist. So we've invited 3 artists who have recently completed projects or are about to complete projects. So Caldrick Dow, Joan Fabian, and Raul Gonzalez. So you can click here to register. We've also put the link there. It should be a fun evening and you're free to ask them questions, and we'll have some moderated questions. So please join us if you have any reservations or questions or interest. Next slide. And I'm going to pass it back over to Jordan to finish out.
Thank you, Kimberly. So now we have some application do's and don'ts. So first we're going to go forward with the do's. So do apply if you have never been on the list or have been told your past application has expired. Do continuously update your San Antonio Artist Registry website and social media. Do create a San Antonio Artist Registry if you are a local San Antonio artist. Use the video sample and application reference guide. And as I mentioned earlier, this is being recorded and it will be emailed out to everyone who registered to attend, and we will put it on our website. And when we go forward with the application demo, we highly recommend that you run this video along while you do your application in case there's any questions that come up. Do contact Public Art Division staff about technical problems with an online application. And we do have additional help that I will speak about at the end. Ask a trusted friend or colleague to review your application prior to submission. And consider all categories in which you might be eligible. This is the first year that we're doing a combined list, so you can apply to be an artist and support service in the same application. Do be sure to click save throughout the application so that you don't risk losing your progress. Make sure that you click the actual submit button by 5 p.m. on November 16th, and make sure that you check your email to get a confirmation message. Now we'll go into the don'ts. So do not reapply if you were already approved in 2020 or 2021. The application lasts 3 years. Do not reapply if your portfolio or resume have changed. We ask that instead you update your San Antonio Artist Registry, your website, and social media. Don't procrastinate, and be sure to remember that it can take up to 3 days to have your profile processed in the Artist Registry. Do not leave the San Antonio Artist Registry blank. It's a requirement for all San Antonio artists. Do not contact Public Art Division staff to review your application or portfolio prior to the application deadline. But again, we do have additional help that I'll speak to at the end in which you can do this. Do not assume that creating a profile in GoSmart is the same thing as submitting your application. And do not contact department staff, San Antonio City Council members, the mayor, the city manager, or other non-arts and culture staff to lobby for city-funded projects during or after the open call period. So I will briefly show the contact information before we move into the application demo, but I'll show this again. But you can reach us at 210-206-2718 or at publicart.sanantonio@sanantonio.gov. And our website has a whole section of where you can get some help, including technical assistance and the San Antonio Artist Registry. So I do see that there's already some questions in the chat, and I just want to remind everybody that we're going to do the application demo first, and then we'll go into the questions. So when you go to sanantonio.gosmart.org, you will see a page like this, the home page, after you log in. So you can edit your profile here. You'll have to create a whole profile, and that's not the same thing as actually creating the application. So you can go back home. You can use this navigation bar up here, and you can go back home. And then you can also go to the current programs and applications. So we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom to FY 2022 Open Call for Public Arts and Support Services. So I already have started an application. If you have not started an application, you'll see a start button that's hyperlinked here instead of an in progress button. But I wanted to show everyone what the in progress button looks like, because as soon as you start the application, that start button does go away. So the first section that we will look at is contract history. And there are some important notes up here, 3 notes that you should all read while filling out the application. So the first question asks if you're applying as an artist, a support service, or both. The second asks, have you ever previously been pre-qualified as a public artist or a support service with the City of San Antonio? I'm going to click yes as an artist. Have you ever had a contract for public art or art services in the past? If no, enter none. If yes, state the name of the organization, the service, the amount, the name of the project, the contract year, your contact, and you should include the City of San Antonio Department of Arts and Culture contract, as well as any other organizations. Have you ever failed to complete a contract? If no, enter none. If yes, state the name, state the organization, the services, the amount, and the reason for failure. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this one blank, and I'll show you why in just a second. Have you ever received a disciplinary action or pending disciplinary action from any regulatory body or professional organization? Same deal, no, and then if yes, enter in all of the information. So throughout the application process, we're going to see this Save Work button, and it's very important to be sure to do this so that we don't have any of our work get deleted, because if you try and go to the next page without saving, it does not save for you. So then you can toggle up here between the different sections or scroll back down. I'm going to scroll back down to show you this link of did I complete this page, and it says no for not completing the contract awarded section. So I'm still going to leave this blank to show you again at the end what happens if you leave any questions blank. So one of the options that you can go through sections is clicking the next page or toggling at those buttons at the beginning. So we're going to go ahead and click next. So now we're in the experience section, and there's some instructions at the beginning as well. So the first questions that we have is describe your core business. And for an artist, this is your artist statement. And for a support service, this is what your core business is. If you're applying for both, then you can do artist and then write your little sentence, and then you can do support services, and then you can write your sentence as well, so that we designate what the difference is. The next question is select your art from the responses below. So there are several different codes for this, and the coding is to allow the different applications to be sorted in this program, and the sorting fields are quite limited. So I'll go through what each of them means. 2D means two-dimensional artwork. 3D means three-dimensional artwork. 2D plus 3D means both. SSO is support services only. SS plus 2D is support services in 2D. SS plus 3D is support services in 3D. And SS plus 2D plus 3D means all of the above. The next section is category of work. There's a rather long alphabetical list, but it's not comprehensive, so you can select as many or as few as you would like. And then here is one of those buttons where we ask you to save your work, since that was a lot of work that we had just done up here. Now, if this list, which is not comprehensive, does not gather what you do, you can type here, and I don't believe that there is a character limit. So next we go into the experience levels, which Kimberly described earlier in the presentation, and they do have everything listed here of what that breakdown is. So I'm going to go ahead and select emerging. Now we have describe your experience in working in art in a public space or commission projects. If you are a support service provider that supports general projects, please describe your experience supporting public art projects and or multi-phased, multifaceted, or community-based projects of any type. Include your experience working in a team or collaborating with others. Include any other information that you would like us to consider. You have 2,000 characters for this. Then you can describe any specialized training or resources, equipment, expertise, certifications, or capacities you would like us to consider. This is a test. Now, I'm not doing it here because it brings you back up to the page every single time, but I highly recommend always clicking save your work. And then the next one is list all of the languages that you speak. Finally, we have here what your San Antonio Artist Registry link is. And you do have to put something in there. If you are a San Antonio artist, you're required to put your link there. If you're a non-San Antonio artist or support service, you can put none. And there is instructions similar to how Kimberly described here as well. Next is the link to your website. And then you need to attach a resume. So you can click here. You will click choose file, and you will select your file, and then you will upload it here. Takes a little bit. And then you can put in any of your social media so that we can see what you're up to, especially if that is your primary form of showcasing your work. And then click save. Now we move into the basic information and demographics. First being the basic information. So first, if you are applying as an artist, support service, or both, you select this again. Next, you put in where you live. So if you're from San Antonio, there's an option for all 10 districts. If you're not in San Antonio, but you're in Bexar County, if you're not in Bexar County, but you're in Texas, if you're in the US, not Texas, if you're outside of the United States, or if you're a nonprofit and there's no owner residence. You can also do this for your business, and if you are an artist and you don't have a business, you can just put your only residence is your residence. We ask, how did you fill out this application? A personal computer, a borrowed computer from a family or friend, a shared computer from a library or computer lab, a personal phone, a borrowed phone, a personal tablet, a borrowed tablet, or a shared tablet. We then go into the demographics. And there is a notice that the City of San Antonio does not discriminate on any of the questions below. So you can select your race or ethnicity, you can put other, or you can put that you are a nonprofit organization. You can select the gender in which you identify, or you can put a nonprofit organization. You can select if you identify as LGBTQIA+, or as an organization. And then finally is, are you a member of the armed forces? And I just want everybody to note here that if you are not a member, that is the very first question and it's not alphabetical. Finally, we have the assurances. So first assurance is that you will comply with the city's ethics code 261, and that is the restriction on communications. And this is stated again from the previous part of the application, that you will not contact any city staff, the city mayor or council, or the city manager. So you click that you understand, or that you do not understand, and that you disqualify yourself. The next is that you understand the non-discrimination policy based off of the demographics. Yes, you understand, or no, you disqualify. The next is that you will be expected to work closely with the Public Art Commission, to work with city departments, neighborhood groups, community organizations, the general public, that there is a lot of collaboration going on, and that you will take direction from the public art manager and the Department of Arts and Culture, as well as our Public Art Committee and Arts Commission, and that you state that you agree to working closely with other groups and taking direction from the department. And then finally, that you certify that everything is true to the best of your knowledge. So then you can save work. And then you can go to submit. So if you missed any questions, at this point, it will tell you what question you have missed, and it will not allow you to submit your application. And then there's a hyperlink for you to go directly to the question that you missed. And this is the question that I left blank. So I will save my work. After I fill it out, I will go back to submit. And then you have to make sure that you click final submission. Then you will click submit. And then you will see a screen here that says, thank you for submitting your application. It reminds you of the restriction on communication. And if you have any questions, to email our public art email. And you will also get an email sent to the email that you applied with, stating that you have completed the application. So again, I just want to share with you all our contact information. You can reach us by phone at 210-206-2787. Our email is publicart.sanantonio@sanantonio.gov. We have a website, which is www.getcreativesanantonio.com, and there we have a portal for the open call. We have technical assistance documents listed there. We have a PDF that has screenshots of the entire application, and we have a link to a YouTube channel that goes through the application step by step. We also have links to the San Antonio Registry, where you can see questions on how to create your profile, and you can watch a tutorial, and then you can email our arts@sanantonio.gov with any questions. And our phone number and email should be in the chat. So now we are going to open it up to questions, but as I had mentioned earlier, I really want to stress that in addition to make this application process less daunting, less scary, and as helpful as it can be, we do have a consultant who is available to answer any questions on your resume, any technical questions, questions on your work samples, and help you just in general throughout filling out the application. There is availability to get help virtually and some limited spots in person as well. And we would really love if you could all take advantage of this. We really want to help in any way possible. So please give us a call, please give us an email, and we can set you up with a virtual or in-person appointment. We really just don't want anybody to think that this application is daunting in any way. We really thank you all for joining us, and we really hope to see each and every one of your applications. So far I see one question, and that is, are out-of-state artists eligible to apply? And yes, this application is open to everyone, nationally, internationally. We want as many people to apply, and just the only thing is that San Antonio Artist Registry is for San Antonio artists only, but you can just put none or NA in that section, and yeah, it's open to everyone. So I think we'll give it a few minutes to see some questions populate, but I do see another one, and it's, do we need to create 2 separate applications if we want to apply as an artist or a support service? And that is no. We have in the past, if you have applied, we did have it so that there was 2 applications, but we have really gone through and streamlined this process, and you can just go ahead and fill out 1 application, and you can select both. And then in that core business section, you can just put that heading of the support service and the artist.
We have, well, I'll take turns here. The questions are coming in. So, is the artist registry a requirement for everyone who applies or just artists? The artist registry is a requirement for just San Antonio artists. So artists outside of San Antonio, you don't have to worry about the artist registry. It's just for San Antonio artists. Support services don't need to have an artist registry profile either.
I have another question that says, how long are you on the list if you are approved? So you're eligible and stay on the pre-qualified list for 3 years. So, and once you're on the list, we will send out a yearly email letting you know whether you should apply, whether your 3 years is up or not. So make sure that if you have a change of email address from what you applied with, that you keep your profile updated.
I see a question that says, is the pre-qualified list shared on the website? And no, that is not something that we share on our website.
And another question, how do we find out if our application is accepted for placement on the 2022 list? So once the applications are reviewed and they go through their approval processes, it's been signed off on by City Council, then we will send an email to the applicants of the results. So that will be, we're looking at kind of like February timeframe, Jordan, is that correct? Maybe around there. So it does take some time to work through that timeline, but you should anticipate an email come February. And it's whichever email that you indicated on your application.
Right, so I see that there's a little bit of a pause, but we'll give it a few more minutes in case there's any other questions out there. Okay, so I see one. How do I update my work samples if I get approved? That is a great question. So we are really interested in looking at websites, at social media handles, and your San Antonio Artist Registry link. So if you have any new and exciting projects, we really hope that you post them there. We hope that you update your resume with all of the exciting things that you're doing. We love to look at it, and that way you don't have to do another application. We just really like to see all of that in your websites and social media in the registry link. And the deadline.
Oh, we're all taking turns. When is the deadline to apply again? We said, let's see, is it November 16th? November 16th, and there is a time deadline too, right? 5 o'clock. November 16th, 5 p.m.
And we have another question that says, if I don't get accepted, can I apply the next year? Yes. So if you don't get accepted or don't get approved, please keep applying and working on your craft. And we really like to see when artists, improve their skills, and we're happy to look at applications again the next year.
I'm not seeing any other questions. So I just want to remind everyone that this recording, oh, I do see another question. If you are an independent artist and part of an artist group, should I apply twice? That is a great question. And yes, we do recommend that you apply twice. So once for you as an individual and once for you as a group or a team. If you just apply as an individual, that's all you would be considered for. And if you just apply as an artist team, that would be all you are considered for. So applying for both is very critical. All right. Well, so I guess I'm not seeing any more questions again. So I just want to thank everyone for being here, for attending. This recording will be sent out to everyone, and so the application, we do hold an application every year, but you are pre-qualified for 3 years.
Jordan, do you want to show the contact information once more before we close it out?
All right. Here is our contact information again. We will send out this recording. It will be posted to our website. And again, if you are interested in getting some virtual information or setting up an in-person workshop to help you with your resume, your work samples, and technical assistance, please reach out to us and we will set you up for that. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, and we really look forward to seeing each and every single one of your applications. Thank you. Good night.
Ciao.